Utilize Calculate Material Quantities. After completing this video, you will be able to compute materials, name the different types of quantities that can be computed via corridor models, identify the difference between the QTO tools and the Compute Quantities command, and identify the prerequisites of using the Compute Quantities command. Let's start with the basics and do a cut and fill volumes calculation. This tells you how much material must be excavated and how much needs to be placed before you start to build the road corridor. Before you can calculate your cut and fill volume or any of your structural materials, you do need to have a corridor model with coded subassemblies. As you see here, I do have my corridor model. It's also a good idea to set your corridor surface and create both a top surface and a datum surface. Next, you need to have a sample line group, which I also have. The sample line group defines the stations along the alignment that will be sampled to help calculate the materials. Once you have all of those things, you'll go to the Analyze tab, Volumes and Materials panel, and click Compute Materials. It will ask you for which alignment you want to calculate materials for, and which sample line group it should use for the sample locations. Then you'll click OK. In the Cut and Fill Quantities dialog box, you'll set the existing ground surface for the EG for both ground removed and ground filled, and then you'll do the same for the datum. So I'll select the datum, which is my corridor model datum, and click OK. Once I've calculated the volumes, I need to be able to show them. One way you can do this is go to the Analyze tab, Volumes and Materials panel, and click Volume Report. Here, you'll select which alignment you've calculated materials for, the sample line group, and the material list, which you can see mine is Material List 1, and click OK. This opens up a web browser that shows you the cut and fill quantities at each station that has been sampled, with the cumulative net volume on the far right at the very bottom. You can close that dialog box or copy and paste that into a Word document if you need it in your construction documents. If you need to show them as a table in your drawing, you can also create a table for this by going to the Analyze tab, Volumes and Materials panel, click Volume Table. You'll select the style, the alignment, sample line group, and the material list you want to show. Then click OK, and it will allow you to place your table. I'm going to go pretty far over to the left because it's going to create one or more tables. And you can see I now have all my materials for the cut and fill for each station that was sampled in my model. The next thing you might want to do is actually calculate how much pavement, concrete for the curb, and other materials you need to bring in for your corridor model. To do this, you'll go to the Analyze tab, Volumes and Materials panel, and click Compute Materials again. This time the dialog box will look slightly different, but first select the alignment that you're doing it for and the sample line group, and click OK. Now I can add additional materials. You'll notice that my material list 1 has the ground removed and ground filled. I can change that to cut-fill, so I remember that that's my cut and fill material list. Then I can import another material criteria. So at the bottom right, I'll click on Import Another Criteria, select Material List, and click OK. This brings up a dialog box that allows me to set the pavement material, so I'm going to select which items in the assembly I need to map to this pavement. I'll start with pavement 1. Next, I'll do the base material, selecting the base from my assemblies, and then finally the subbase. Again, selecting the subbase from the assembly materials. Then I'll click OK, and it brings me back to the dialog box. This has given me all of my pavement base and subbase. If I'd like to change the name of the material list, I can tell that this is my corridor structures. And if I want to add my curbs to the list, I'll select my corridor structures list, click on Add New Material at the top, change the material name to curb, change the quantity type to structures. The shape style will be my curb. And then I need to set the corridor shape and the curb to add that curb to that material. When I click OK, it will calculate all of my materials. Now I need to actually show them in my model. So I'll add another table. This time I'll go to the Analyze tab, Volumes and Materials panel, and click Material Volumes Table. This will allow me to set the table style, select the alignment and the sample line group, then select the material list and which material I want to add to my drawing. So I'll select my subbase first and click OK. Place it below my cut and fill materials table. And now I know exactly how much material I need to bring in for my subbase. And I can continue doing that for each and every one of the materials I created calculations for. One key thing to keep in mind, computing materials from your corridor model is different than using the QTO manager. The QTO tools link design objects like alignments, surfaces, or corridors to pay items. These are line items from a cost estimating database. The output is detailed, itemized report that can even export to external cost systems. You'll use this when you tie your design quantities directly to a pay schedule. The difference here is the compute materials is much more direct. It calculates volumes for the corridor using sample lines and a material list, and you don't need pay item linkages to create that. Just a properly coded corridor, a sample line group, and the defined material list.